After 15 long years of earning a living from creating videos, I have learned some tough lessons. I tell every single creator that I help out that the only thing standing between where they are now and where they want to be is knowledge and how to work efficiently. So in this video, I want to share all those tough lessons that I had to learn the hard way so that you can get there faster. Gaslighting can be real inside this little issue in the industry. People can make you feel like you're the bad guy for chasing your own money that you are owed for work. So never actually doubt yourself in this scenario. And something else, I feel that this gets worse as you grow further into your career. Normally, the bigger companies are much worse at this than the smaller ones, as they have much less to pay out and much less cash flow issues. But never doubt yourself when chasing an overdue payment. The way that we tend to set out the rooms that we actually live in and to maximise living space is definitely not the best way to lay out a room for filmmaking purposes. When you're on location and going into different houses or Airbnbs or just sets, what you're building, whatever that may be, make sure that you are pulling objects away from the wall. You can think about all the best movies or TV shows, the sitcoms, Friends, whatever it may be. The settee, the sofa, is never pushed up against the wall. It is always in the middle of the room. This may seem odd in terms of how you would live, but it definitely looks better on camera. I'm sure there's going to be an exception for this rule, and someone could find an exceptionally good looking still drone shot, but I'm referencing the other 99% of still drone shots. Drones just don't look good when stationary. They have this little awkward shift or wobble, and I know you can try and stabilize it out, but then you get a little bit of awkward warping. For me, drone shots just look a lot better when moving, and a great example of this is whenever you see a hyperlapse or a time lapse with a drone, it will always be the former of a hyperlapse that is moving, and it will never really be a time lapse that is standing still. This one took me way too long to realise for myself, but I have an example of it right now. I'm looking to upgrade my 70-200mm, and I don't really use that lens too much. I would say I use it around 5% of my overall shots I take. So when looking, I'm presented with a G Master one or the Sigma or Tamron one, which is much more cheaper and affordable. Will the G Master one be superior? Yes. Will it be better image quality? Yes. Better autofocus? Yes. But do I use it enough to have that much money placed in this lens? No. So for me, it makes much more sense for me to choose that Tamron or Sigma version, as I just don't use the lens that much. You know, there are some situations that are a win-win scenario. Well, buying a cheap light stand is a total opposite. You think you are saving money, but they break so easily that you purchase one every year instead of just buying one C-stand and it lasting you 15 years. And secondly, nothing looks more amateur and unprofessional than a light stand that can't hold the weight of the light, falling over, looking unsafe, just placing everyone else on set uneasy. So, cheap light stands are definitely the biggest waste of money. This is one of the best mindsets that you can have going into anything in life, and being a filmmaker or a video creator is definitely no different. You just need to convince yourself that what did you really expect when you started out? Did you think that you was never going to make a bad video, never going to drop a lens, break that filter? Did you think that things were never going to be wrong? You were never going to be late to a client or to a set? The truth of the matter is these things happen. So if you're expecting them to happen, it becomes much more of a realistic situation that you can handle than it's something you are not expecting to happen. So just have a realistic mindset and understand that everything is not going to go smoothly. This one is pretty well known amongst all the business world, but for any filmmakers or creators that do not know it, the saying goes like this. If you quote $10,000 for a job where someone only has a budget for $1,000, that means that you lose $1,000. Now, reverse that. If you quote $1,000 for someone who has a budget of $10,000, you have just lost $9,000. Now, This means that overpricing a job is definitely better than underpricing a job. This one slowed me down personally more than any other advice I can give out, and it is invest in yourself. Being in the photography or videography world, it is so easy to just invest in equipment and gear constantly and forget to invest inside yourself. Gear is going to be a byproduct as your journey continues. It will happen regardless, but knowledge and skill is something that you have to purposely go out of your way to learn. All the best creators and filmmakers, or whatever it is that you are influenced by or inspired by, the only difference between you and them is knowledge. They can make amazing videos on the gear that you have right now. And that takes me perfectly onto the sponsor of this video, which is Skillshare. I'm sure that you may have already heard of Skillshare by now, but if not, being a member of Skillshare gives you access to the best online classes for creatives. They have a massive library of all different categories, starting from art and illustration all the way onto personal development and productivity. My own favourite two categories on here are film and video and marketing and business. I spend hours on this website because I think it is one of the fastest ways that you can grow as a creative. There is something for everybody on Skillshare, from the biggest creators on the planet, and they've also just added 3 new categories: creative careers, creative inspiration, and AI and innovation. I recently started taking short form video a lot more seriously, taking the creating viral videos for Instagram and TikTok by Sean Dalton allowed me to get the knowledge I needed to get going. When you sign up to Skillshare, it will ask you a few questions like what softwares you use, and then it will tailor make your own homepage, giving you classes that are perfect just for you. And the even more amazing news is you can get all this for free for 1 month if you're one of the first 500 people that sign up below using my link in the description. We all want to make short films or shoot music videos or create fashion films, but the truth of the matter is this is extremely competitive. You just have more people willing to shoot this for free. Granted, they may not be very experienced, but you have definitely got more people willing to shoot it for cheap. If you want to stop that roller coaster of income that exists in many people's careers throughout filmmaking and video creation, then that definitely lies in shooting the boring stuff. This one sounds pretty simple, but I see so many people out there putting out confusing messages. They may want to be an editor or a first AC or some job role inside of the industry, and they are posting about buying a new camera when they're a first AC or filming this project when they want to be an editor. The problem is all the best people that I know inside the industry give out really strong branding and messages of the exact thing that they want to be. If they're a first AC, they might post about how they're building their follow focus rig or what they're doing as a first AC on set. Confusing personal branding can be one of the biggest mistakes that I see inside the industry. This one is another popular one from the world of business, and it is the sawdust principle. It gets its name from carpenters and joiners, people who work in wood, when they make their cuts and are creating whatever it is they sell to earn a living. One of the byproducts is sawdust. They can then gather that sawdust and sell it to be recycled into more wood, earning them extra income. Now, how can we do this inside the world of video creation? There are really 3 different ways that I personally know of. Number 1 is stock footage. Number 2 is hiring out your equipment when you are not using it. And finally, the third one, which is relatively new, is content creation. Instagram and TikTok have recently started paying people for how many likes and engagements and views they get on their posts, and I've seen people earning a serious income from this. So make sure that you are posting really engaging reels and showing your work off as much as possible. We need better filmmaking tools to make better videos. This is correct. But buying expensive, fancy equipment only impresses people behind you. The best way to think about this is if someone that you know behind you on your journey bought the exact camera that you own right now, would that impress you? Would you think this makes them a better filmmaker? And would you suddenly want to book them for a job? My guess is the answer is no. This is something that I always have to remind myself of, so I'm reminding you of it. If you speak to any editor, or if you edit footage yourself, how many times have you found yourself sat in the edit wishing that you had a shorter take? The answer is probably never, because we only wish we had longer takes. So never underestimate the power of what rolling that take for an extra 5 or 10 seconds can achieve. Instead of asking the question, how can I make this work or succeed? Try asking the question, how could this fail? The truth of the matter is, you pretty much learn nothing from a project going smoothly. It's super hard to criticize and give yourself feedback. It's the ones where stuff goes wrong and you make the mistake where you learn, and it happens fast. I see this one way too much. It might be people using the Lumix S5 II thinking they need 120 frames per second or full frame 50 or 60 frames per second. You may be using an FX3 thinking that you need built-in ND filters. The truth of the matter is, none of this really matters. Around 8 years ago, I used to shoot on the Sony FS5 and it was limited to full HD 1080p at 10-bit. The 4K was limited to 8-bit. I used to tell myself all the time that as soon as I get that 4K 10-bit, it was going to be game-changing. But as you've guessed, when I got that, nothing happened. The equipment that you have now is more than good enough, even if it is a smartphone. So just get to work. If you enjoyed this list of advice, then you can carry it on right here, and it's possibly even better.